everybody. Welcome to episode 386 of Good Luck High Five.
That's right. You're listening to a podcast that's for you if you play Magic the Gathering, whether you are sitting at home and playing it or sitting at home and playing it.
I'm one of your hosts, Maria.
And I'm another one of your hosts, Megan.
And on today's
show...
show...
I say my name with so much excitement. It's always
Megan.
my name. I know. It's you know. Yep, I keep interrupting you.
Are you going to do it again when I say it again?
Yeah, go for it.
And on today's show...
Yep.
Well, you know what? I can't say I didn't see it coming, really.
I don't think I would have.
Oh. It never ends. It never ends.
That one was organic.
And on today's show, we're going to talk about Core Set 2021 because it's coming out on Arena on the 25th already, which is wild. That's this Thursday.
Yeah. It really
New
is
Magic
this
set.
Thursday. The way time moves is incomprehensible to my brain.
Yeah, that is true. That is 100% true. Time is a lie, and we've all been buying into it for a long time, and now it's making itself known.
But do you know what? Judge Rob is here today, which is always so exciting because he has wonderful things to let us know ahead of time heading into the pre-release so that we can all be prepared for the ways that things interact.
Yeah, I'm pretty stoked because this set does look actually really cool. There's a lot of powerful stuff in it. Mm-hmm. And I'm just, ready for, my standard and my draft experience to get shaken up a little bit. Like I love Decoria, but let's shake it up a little bit. You know what I mean?
Let's
shake and bake
it up.
I want to take all of M21 and coat my chicken with it.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, we're going to do that. We're also going to name Cutest and Grossest Card from the set because when Rob's here, the cuteness and the grossness comes out, and it's a big honor or dishonor, so get ready.
Yeah. But before that happens, we have some people to thank. Chief amongst them are you, the listeners and patrons especially of this show. Thank you so much for being part of our Patreon family. It really means so much to us, especially during a time of so much uncertainty, when things are a real mess in the world sometimes.
Yeah.
It's such a wonderful thing for us to know that we're going to be able to keep bringing you this show.
Yeah, thank you so much, everybody. All you got to do is go over to patreon.com/glhfmagic and pledge to support the show. You can throw a literal $1 a month our way, and it really makes a huge difference because you get to become part of our community. You get access to our Discord and different rewards for different tier levels. But really, the bottom line is supporting things that you care about, and it really matters to us that you support us and that we can keep doing this show into the future. We're lucky to still be doing it during this time, and we want to continue to be able to do it through this time and on into the future. I don't know why I said that so spookily, but
yeah, I don't know.
But did you know there's going to be a full moon on Halloween this year? Maybe that's why I said that spookily.
Wow, that's so far ahead. How do you already know what the moon is doing then?
Like I called it.
How do you already know what the moon is?
What are you doing on Halloween? You're being full? Oh, okay, cool. See that?
Okay. Great.
Yeah, I saw some article about it because it only happens once in a blue moon, if you will. I don't know. It was like something once in every 15 years or something like that. I don't know.
Oh.
So I thought it was kind of cool. But yeah.
Yeah.
I hear your cat.
Yep, she's very loud.
She's excited for the full Halloween moon.
She really is. She's like, I heard there's a full moon.
Wait, I'm going to look it up because I want to know how many years it is. Halloween moon 20. Oh my gosh, I cannot spell. I put so many E's in Halloween, everybody. How rare is a full moon on Halloween? Ooh. This is a whole article.
How rare is it?
How rare is it?
She just meows so much.
She has so much to say to you.
She has so much to say to me.
Well, you know what, everybody? I will get into this soon, but like... I'll look at it
Are
during
you
the
laughing about how much the cat is meowing?
Yes. It's so funny.
It's so loud.
It's so loud.
Okay.
I think it's even rarer. It's like a blue moon. It's a blue Halloween moon. So it is once in a blue moon, literally. Oh, once every 19 years. Okay. So I was almost right.
That's pretty cool.
Pretty cool stuff. Yeah. But we also have to say thank you to Card Kingdom for being an awesome sponsor of our show.
Yeah.
They're a super great place to buy all of your Magic stuff. Anything you need for playing at home or playing with your top-down system, like just any magical accoutrement that you need for your life. Yeah, accoutrement. You can go to cardkingdom.com/GLHF and they'll send you whatever you need. Super fast shipping, and they're super great people too. So consider supporting them if you like our show. Or even if you hate our show and you listen despite us.
You know
you're out there.
That's on you.
We're going to be talking M21 today, the release coming up super, super quickly on Arena the 25th. And even though it's a core set, there are some new tricky things that you're going to want to be aware of heading into the pre-release and then the release later on. And Judge Rob is always fantastic about letting us know what these tricky things are and getting us prepared for scenarios. So we go in educated, smarter, and better than before. But the way you like to start these review episodes off, Rob, is with a PSA generally.
Yeah. Normally my PSAs are like, be nice to other people, don't yuck other people's yum kind of stuff. This time it is much, much more serious. Don't go to stores for pre-releases. I'm really begging you. The US is kind of in a sucky place right now. And we were just mentioning how we aren't going out and seeing people, and it sucks. I know. I agree. I want to go out and play Magic with people. It's a face-to-face game. The social interaction's why we play. But the COVID plague is not... We've had 120,000 deaths in the US from it. We have like 750 a day nationwide. It's dangerous, and it's dangerous for other people because you could be carrying it and not know it. And you could be not symptomatic yet. So if you don't have to go to some place physically with a bunch of people, don't. Pick stuff up from your stores. Buy pre-release kits. Go play on Spell Table. Spell Table's great. Get together with a bunch of your locals or get together in a Discord chat and, put your webcam in top-down mode and play some Magic with other people top-down. But going into a place where you're crammed into a tight space with 30 other people to play Magic is, I believe, a totally unacceptable risk. If you're looking,
asking for disaster.
Yeah, just don't risk people. Don't risk yourself. Don't risk your friends. Don't risk your family. It's not worth it for this game about being a space hopping wizard. It's just a game fundamentally.
For Ikoria, we got pre-release kits from Lodestone Games, which is our local game store. And then we built them at our homes and then put them into Arena and played each other on Arena, which was a very fun way to play.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Mm-hmm. And no, it's not exactly the pre-release experience, but you know what? The pre-release experience will be there for you, in the future at some point.
Yeah.
But not right now.
Yep.
Let's kick things off, Judge Rob, then, with some new mechanics coming out with M21. I'm going to put new in quotations for this first one, but it kind of is.
Yeah. So the new mechanic is something that's been in every set for a long time, which is mill. We use the word mill. We talk about the word mill. Now, the coast is finally catching up. And they're keywording mill. To pick out a card with it, Thieves Guild Enforcer. Single black for a 1/1. Flash. Whenever Thieves Guild Enforcer or another rogue enters the battlefield under your control, each opponent mills 2 cards. And milling is just taking the top card of the library and putting it into the graveyard. So they're just putting 2 cards from the library into the graveyard. And then Thieves Guild Enforcer also says, as long as an opponent has 8 or more cards in their graveyard, Thieves Guild Enforcer gets +2/+1 and has Death Touch. So Thieves Guild Enforcer mills them for 2. And
I love it. I'm so happy they made this change.
Having this be a keyword action is really good. It's It has some interesting trade-offs because mill comes from the card Millstone from Antiquities. So they're not like describing the action at all. It's just a magic word that you have to know. Thieves Guild Enforcer I picked because it's the only one of the mill cards in this set without reminder text. And so you might run into it and go, well, what is... I mean, if you're new and you haven't seen a bunch of these cards, what does mill mean? I think that they probably should have put Millstone in this set now that they're keywording it. They put it in the last 4 set, but not this one. And so I don't but it's in this and it's in the Jumpstart stuff where mill is now keyworded, and they're going to go back and errata a bunch of cards as a result.
Speaking of errata, the next thing you wanted to talk about is a really exciting errata as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. So dogs exist. They're not like birds.
Wait, what?
Yes. So previously in Magic, anything that was a dog or looked dog-like was a hound. They made it back in Odyssey. They printed the first hound, and so they printed Patrol Hound, I think it was, and they decided to give it the creature type hound. And then the next one they followed up with another hound, and pretty soon they were locked in. But now they're just saying, we made a mistake because cat folk are cats, but their dog folk have to be hounds, which doesn't make any sense because they're dogs. So they're errating every hound in the history of Magic to be a dog. They're printing dog on all new cards going forward, and they're supporting it. They're having lords for it. So Pack Leader is a 2/2 for white and 1, a creature dog. Other dogs you control get +1/+1. Whenever Pack Leader attacks, prevent all combat damage that will be dealt this turn to dogs you control. So it isn't anything new, except that they've never printed dog tribal lords before because they're kind of embarrassed about saying the word hound, I think. So
Embarrassed.
It's a really embarrassing word to say.
yeah.
Megan, is your camera, speaking of cats and dogs, is your camera just focused on your cat, Megan?
Yes. Yes, it is.
Okay, just checking.
Yep.
Like, I'll put it back on me eventually, but...
Right now you got a cat.
Exactly. She's sitting on most of the desk, so...
So, nothing personal, but I'd rather look at a cat than you most of the time anyways. So.
That's fair.
Same, honestly. Same.
So, returning mechanics, stuff that it's exactly the same, or exactly-ish. Prowess. Prowess is back. Prowess is a static ability that's on creatures that generates a trigger. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, everything with Prowess you control gets +1/+1 till end of turn. So if you look at Goblin Wizardry, it's an instant for red and 3. Create 2 1/1 red goblin creature tokens with Prowess. And then from then on, whenever you cast a non-creature spell, those tokens get +1/+1. And Prowess triggers from Planeswalkers, notably, which is a much bigger deal than the last time Prowess was around. What it doesn't trigger from is mutating. Mutating onto a creature doesn't look a lot like a creature, but it is casting a creature spell. So it's not going to trigger your Prowess.
You know what I like about this art, too? A lot of people have pointed out it looks like one goblin is farting and the other one is lighting its fart on fire.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what's happening. In a library. Like,
in a library,
just,
of course.
In a library.
Yep.
Where else would you do that sort of thing? In the privacy of your own home? Yeah,
no, anywhere. They're goblins. They do that anywhere and everywhere. The lunch table, their parents' house, your parents' house, like everywhere.
Great point.
Strangers' parents' houses?
Yep. Just random parents. They ask, are you a parent? Well, I got a trick for you. But we're going to move on to the next thing. Shrines. So, Sanctum of All is a shrine. Shrines are a theme that has been in one set before. Sanctum of All costs all colors, white, blue, black, or green. Legendary enchantment, Shrine. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may search your library and or graveyard for a shrine card and put it onto the battlefield. If you search your library this way, shuffle it. If an ability of another shrine you control triggers while you control 6 or more shrines, that ability triggers an additional time. So, Shrine is an enchantment subtype like Aura or not really anything else. You're talking about auras when you're talking about enchantment subtypes. Shrines are a legendary enchantment group that were last printed in Kamigawa block. They were just added to Arena in Arena Historic. And Sanctum of All rewards you for having a bunch of shrines. Something to note. Shrine, when Sanctum of All talks about shrines, it's talking about the card type shrine. It's not talking about cards with shrine in the name. Godless Shrine is not a shrine.
Good to know.
Yep.
That's a good point.
Relevant in Standard, apparently, for the next few months. So you can't search for Godless Shrine when Sanctum of All tells you to find a shrine.
That's funny. I would not have even thought of that.
Yep. It's a choice that they made. The thing with Sanctum of All is it gives you a bonus trigger on these shrines. Of all the shrines that have ever been printed, there are 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 shrines that have triggered abilities. 2 of the new ones do not have triggered abilities. They have activated abilities. You can tell triggered abilities because they say when, whenever, or at. Sanctum of All says at the beginning of your upkeep. Most of the shrines do that. They have an at the beginning of the upkeep trigger, but 2 of the new shrines don't. They have other things, and they have activated abilities. And so Sanctum of All doesn't boost I believe the white and the red shrines are the other 2 shrines that don't have that. Yeah, the red shrine has 1 discard a land or shrine card, and the white shrine has white 5 : tap target creature. So those don't have triggered abilities. They aren't doubled by the Sanctum.
Well, I think it's about shrine. Somebody told us all of this information, Rob.
Well,
I'm sorry.
You could have had me on yesterday. We could have recorded earlier. So that's the big headlining multi-card new stuff. There's one card that is a returning mechanic. It's buried down into the individual card stuff for me because it's one card, and I didn't want to clutter up phasing and the returning mechanics up front. I just want to talk about that when Tiberi comes up.
Okay. So let's head into some like individual cards then that you think are worth talking about here for kind of tricksy things that people might encounter.
Yeah. So I'm going to start from some commons. Crypt Lurker. Black and 3 for a horror. 3/4. When it enters the battlefield, you may sacrifice a creature or discard a creature card. If you do, draw a card. Your opponents can't respond in the middle of this. Once you've made your choice, they can't respond. So if you choose to sacrifice a creature, you'll be able to sacrifice a creature. If they can't blow you out as a result. So you can't like choose to sacrifice a creature, they kill your only other creature, and then you're forced to sacrifice Crypt Lurker. No. If they let the trigger resolve, you do the whole thing. And so they don't get the chance to like stomp on you, force you to discard or sacrifice creatures to blow you up in the middle of this resolve. Which is not going to be necessarily obvious to people.
This art is something I could do without.
Yeah, I figured this would be one of your troublesome ones.
That's true. Although the winner is already the winner and will always be the winner.
So, Frantic Inventory. Frantic Inventory is an instant. It's one of a long line of instants that count, or one of a long line of spells that count spells at the same time. Blue and 1, instant, draw card. Then draw cards equal to the number of cards named Frantic Inventory in your graveyard. Notably, Frantic Inventory checks that number on resolution. So if I cast Frantic Inventory and you cling to dust the other one into my graveyard, I'll draw 1 card and then none because I did no bonus ones because I didn't have any Frantic Inventories. So your opponent does get the chance to puzzle out how much you would be drawing as long as they respond to the spell.
Can I ask you a question, Rob?
Yeah.
Why does this kind of spell ask you or like let them respond to it and the previous one didn't?
So they could respond to the trigger on Crypt Lurker. So they could say, kill, if you cast Crypt Lurker, it's your only creature. They could kill the Crypt Lurker and then you can't sacrifice a creature, right? But it's the in the middle. You didn't make that choice until during the resolution of Crypt Lurker. They're responding to the same kind of a thing where it's going to do all of its text at the time that it resolves, but you don't get to just skip ahead to Frantic Inventory resolving, and it doesn't check based on Frantic Inventory being in the graveyard at the time that the spell is cast, for instance.
Okay,
so
great.
They do get to respond to both, but they don't get to break it up in the middle either. So for Frantic Inventory, if they let you draw the card, then they don't get to respond after that to get the Frantic Inventory in the graveyard. Okay. They had something that was like exile cards equal to the number of exile cards from a graveyard equal to the number of cards in target opponent's hand or something. That'd be a weird and dumb card and I would never print that. But
well, never say never.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I'm going to skip that one. Ornery Dilapthosaur. Ornery Dilapthosaur is a 2/2 for green and 3 creature dinosaur with Death Touch. And whenever it attacks, if you control a creature with power 4 or greater, Ornery Dilapthosaur gets +2/+2 until end of turn. Two things with the Ornery Dilapthosaur. Dilophosaur?
Dilophosaur.
Dilophosaur.
I'm just going to call it.
Dilophosaur.
I'm going to call it the Picklesaurus because it looks kind of like a pickle and it says dill.
It does look like a pickle.
So when the Picklesaurus, when you go to combat with the Picklesaurus in the battlefield and you go to attack with it, it attacks. This trigger goes in the stack. It has an intervening if. It checks before it goes in the stack if you have a big enough creature. If that creature is the Picklesaurus, then it will trigger from itself and it'll give itself +2/+2 to become a 6/6. If it was just a 4/4. If it triggers from something else, they could let the trigger go on the stack and then kill that other creature. The trigger will check again during resolution to see whether or not you still have something with 4 power. And which means they can lock you into attacking so they can block you and trade with it because it is Death Touch, so they're always going to die to it. But just be aware that sometimes they'll respond to the trigger and blow you out on arena because there's a couple pieces of instant speed removal in the set.
Oh, that's cool. Okay, that's a good one to know.
Yeah.
Picklesaurus.
Because I can't pronounce whatever the actual name is, so it's just the Picklesaurus. So Track Down. Track Down is green and 1 for a sorcery, scry 3, then reveal the top card of your library. If it's a creature or land card, draw a card. And it explains scry, and you don't need that. Just like the previous ones we talked about, they can't respond in the middle. If they let you scry, then it's an uninterrupted. You get to look at the cards, put them back, and then reveal the top card. They can't respond by milling you if they have an instant speed mill card. They could do it, but it'd be before the spell starts to resolve, so then you still do the whole spell afterwards. Archfiends Vessel. Archfiends Vessel is a 1/1 human cleric for single black. It has lifelink, and when it enters a battlefield, if it entered from your graveyard or you cast it from your graveyard, exile it. If you do, create a 5/5 black demon creature token with flying.
Oh, this card's awesome.
This card's, yeah. It's just obviously designed in the universe with Lurrus of the Dream Den being a playable magic card. And, I mean, you could probably just play it with Lurrus in your library anyways, but the thing with Archfiends Vessel is it's a big ability is a triggered ability. So it's going to enter the battlefield, the trigger is going to go on the stack, and they can kill it in response. And it has this if you do clause in the middle. So you have to actually take it from the battlefield and exile it in order to get a demon. If it isn't on the battlefield because they kill it with a shock, then you can't exile it and you won't get a demon token. So they can blow you out by responding to this trigger on Archfiends Vessel.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah. May come up, may be a reasonable play. This might be a real card. I'm not sure. Canopy Stalker. Canopy Stalker is a sweet cat. It's a 4/2 for green and 3. Canopy Stalker must be blocked if able. When Canopy Stalker dies, you gain 1 life for each creature that died this turn. So there's a surprising number of ways to give things menace in the last couple sets. If you give Canopy Stalker menace, it must be blocked. So they have to block it with 2 creatures. Because it can't be blocked by only 1 creature because it is menace. But it must be blocked if able. So if they have 2 creatures and Canopy Stalker is menace and is attacking them, they have to block with both of them.
And why
Nice.
wouldn't you? Look at how beautiful this cat is. It's like purple. It's got like pink spots.
Yep.
It has a mohawk.
It has a mohawk. It actually probably belongs in Ikoria. The other thing is that you can see it killing 2 creatures right there in the art.
Yeah.
It's going to kill both of those deer, which is its plan.
I want this cat's hair. I would have this hair.
Meghan, this definitely seems like hair you would have.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would have this hair.
Yeah, this is your hair. Maybe you could go for a cosplay as Canopy Stalker in
Yes.
2021
Perfect.
at a Magic tournament.
Oh, I feel bad for these little antelopes, though.
Yeah.
They're really cute.
Silver Smoke Ghoul. Silver Smoke Ghoul is a 3/1 for black and 2. It's a creature zombie vampire. I just read that type line and I don't know why it exists, but that is what it is.
I don't know how you can be both things, like, legally.
Like, you can't be undead two ways.
Then you're just undead, and that means you're alive again?
Then you're alive.
Yeah, undead times undead equals alive. The math checks out.
Yeah.
Yep.
But Silver Smoke Ghoul says, at the beginning of your end step, if you gained 3 or more life this turn, return Silver Smoke Ghoul from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. And then has black and 1, sacrifice it to draw a card. So the trick of Silver Smoke Ghoul is it's not net life gain or life loss, it's did you gain that life? So if your opponent lightning bolts you, so you lose 3 life, and then you play Healing Salve, so you gain 3 life, you've gained 3 life, and that'll be enough to trigger Silver Smoke Ghoul. Even though your net gain or loss was 0 at the end, he doesn't care about the net gain or loss. He cares about, did you have a life gain event that gained you 3 life? And it's your end step, not any end step, so you can try to get tricky with like lifelink blockers and them attacking you and stuff, but it isn't going to do anything because it only triggers in your end step. Unleash Fury. Unleash Fury is super cool. It's a guy punching a Minotaur. Wish I was baller enough to punch a Minotaur. But yeah. It's an instant for red and 1. Doubles the power of target creature until end of turn. This takes the current power and adds that power to it again. If that power is negative for some reason, it'll double the negative. So if it's a -1/2, it'll become a -2/2.
Because that is how math works.
Correct. You just multiply it by 2. The other thing is it doubles the current power. If you have a 2/2, you attack, you unleash Fury, it becomes a 4/2, and then you giant growth it, it'll be a 7/2. Because you gave it
why did you do it in that order? And then you'll sit and think about why.
Life's complicated. Sometimes you misclick.
Fair enough.
I embroidered that on a pillow once.
Sometimes you misclick.
Yep.
So there's a couple of rares that have a pretty similar thing going on. So I'm going to mention both of them and talk about what they do. Baron Tolarian Archmage is a 2/2 for blue and 1. Legendary creature, human wizard. When Baron Tolarian Archmage enters the battlefield, return up to 1 other target creature or planeswalker to its owner's hand. And at the beginning of your end step, if a permanent was put into your hand from the battlefield this turn, draw a card. We also have Gadrak the Crown Scourge, which is a 5/4 for red and 2, legendary creature dragon. That's flying, and it can't attack unless you control 4 or more artifacts. At the beginning of your end step, create a treasure token for each non-token creature that died this turn.
I am really upset by this dragon's face.
It looked like he got punched in his face a couple of times.
Yeah, it looks like, yeah. I don't know what happened here, but I'm not a fan.
It's also a cool perspective trick. He feels bigger than other dragons because he's so close, you know?
Yes.
Even though he's actually probably smaller than a lot of dragons. If you go look at like scale birds and stuff, because that's his head next to a corpse, right?
Yeah. So and that corpse is normal right. Corpse size, and he looks like normal to smaller dragon size.
Yeah. It's an interesting piece. But
yes.
Regardless, they both have this at the beginning of your end step, do a thing based on the stuff that happened this turn. They count the stuff that happened before they entered the battlefield because they care about the total number of things of that type happen. So if you attack with a couple of 2/2s, they block with a couple of 2/2s, they trade and you cast Gadrak, then you'll make 4 treasures because 4 things died this turn because all the 2/2s traded. Same with Baron. If you bounce a creature and if you bounce Baron and then replay him, he will see that he bounced earlier in the turn, even if you didn't bounce another one of your permanents. And so both of them care about the stuff that happened before they entered the battlefield. They care about the total. Did this happen and how many times it happened this turn?
They're rares. They're smart enough to see the past.
It's true. Their commons are too. Technically, Silver Smoke Ghoul does the same thing. If it enters, if you give it lifelink and attack with it, and it dies, it'll see that lifelink happened and then pick itself back up.
Yeah.
So that's a thing you can sometimes do with Silver Smoke Ghoul. 9 lives. 9 lives is an enchantment for white, and 1 with incredible Paul Scott Canavan art. He actually released a template. I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah, we did. So you can put your own kitty cat in this?
Yeah.
Yes.
So good.
So it's an enchantment. It has hexproof. If its source would deal damage to you, prevent that damage and put an incarnation counter on 9 lives. When there are 9 or more incarnation counters on it, exile it. When it leaves the battlefield, you lose the game. And yep, people have been talking about a combo with this where you like donate it to your opponent and then bounce it, and then it kills them. Also, if you have Salinity, which prevents counters being placed on things, you are mostly indestructible. The other thing is in multiplayer, if you donate to your opponent, then you're now in a mutual destruction pact. Because if another player kills you, you take your 9 lives with you when you die. And then it triggers because it left the battlefield. And they control the trigger, so they die.
Great.
So be prepared to have adorable kittens kill you in Zedru the Greathearted.
I just love that like all of the cats in the back are like these big like noble lions and panthers, and then like the cat in the front is like a house cat.
Yeah.
And these are all famous cats from Magic's history as well behind this kitty cat.
This art is so good. I really love it.
This is probably the best art in the set, but yeah, there's some contenders.
Yeah, it's so good. It's so good.
So we have a reprint with some weird stuff going on. Runed Halo. It's an enchantment for white. As it enters the battlefield, choose a card name. You can name any Magic card. Do you wish to name Nameless Race? You can name Nameless Race. Probably name a card that you think your opponent has. You have protection from the chosen card name. And Runed Halo has reminder text. It says you can't be targeted, dealt damage, or enchanted by anything with that name. So they can't curse you. They can't cast, if you choose Lightning Bolt, they can't Lightning Bolt you. What this doesn't do, it doesn't protect your stuff. If you name murder, they can still murder your creature because your creature isn't you.
But they can't murder you.
Correct. They can't murder you. If you name murder with Runed Halo, something's going on. Either you misunderstood it or you're doing something tricky. The other thing is it doesn't prevent them from attacking. It doesn't prevent them from attacking your planeswalkers. They can still attack. It just, if they're attacking you, their creature won't deal damage to you. But it doesn't save your stuff. So if they attack you with like a 4/4 and you block with a 2/2, your 2/2 is still going to die. If their 4/4 is trample, they'll try to trample over it and won't deal you any damage. It prevents that damage. But it doesn't stop the thing entirely. Runed Halo just does a bunch of weird random stuff. Like, they can't... they won't be able to attack you, to deal you damage to their creatures. Their planeswalkers, some random things will target you, some things won't. Like, you have to really look at what's going on with the different cards to see whether or not Runed Halo does anything. It's a very conditional card.
Maria, you don't like Runed Halo.
No, I don't. People play it against me in Modern when I'm playing Poggles, and I hate them. There you go.
You could be playing the new Gem Razor in your Boggles deck. It looks like an aura. It's not.
That's true. I could do that. I could definitely do that.
So, Sublime Epiphany. This is the other contender for best art in the set.
This art is
it's phenomenal.
Cool.
Yeah. So, blue 4 for an instant. Choose one or more. Counter target spell. Counter target activated or triggered ability. Return target non-land permanent to its owner's hand. Create a token that's a copy of target creature you control, or target player draws a card. So it does. It has. Mark Rosewater said this card has 31 different modes. Target player draws a card is almost always getting it picked, right? Like you would have to be very in a very weird situation to choose counter target spell but not draw a card for it. So it doesn't. It basically just has draw a card tacked onto what's going on in the text box. Stuff with this, it doesn't prevent other things from triggering. So in order to get to counter a spell and counter an activated or triggered ability, it usually has to be a thing that triggers from that spell being cast. So you can counter both Ulamog and Ulamog's trigger. The return target non-land permanent can be theirs or yours. The create a token that's a copy of target creature you control is only yours, but they both target. This is a weird thing that doesn't come up much, but if if something ceases to exist in the middle of a spell resolving, it's fine. The spell will use information about that thing as it was last on the battlefield in order to do what it does. Spells only check if their targets are legal when you go to cast them, if you can legally target them, and at the very beginning of resolution. They say, before we go any further, I'm only going to do stuff to the things that are legal targets right now. Stuff that changes later on in casting of this or in the resolution of this spell won't impact it. So if you bounce your own creature and copy it, you will get a copy of the creature and the bounce one into your hand. It's a really long way to say that. It does what you want, basically.
It should for that amount of mana.
Well, I mean, they've printed a lot of blanks at 6 mana historically.
I will cast this card just to look at the
I know
art.
you're going to open it,
Yeah.
Meghan. I know you're going to open it.
I hope you're right. I
just have a feeling.
Discontinuity. Discontinuity is an instant for blue, and 3. And it says as long as it's your turn, the spell costs blue, 2 less to cast. Which means that you can cast it for just, for the low cost of blue and 1, right? I mean, that's got to be good, right?
What a deal.
Yeah. Seems great.
It only has 3 other words. End the turn.
Oh, wait a second.
So, this is one of the most complicated things that a spell can do in Magic. There's only a couple other spells that do this. There's 3 other cards that say end the turn on. So the way Discontinuity works is it spells it out in the reminder text, but if you have the special fancy elite version, it doesn't have reminder text. It's going to exile everything on the stack and go to your cleanup step, basically. It skips right over the end step directly to cleanup, and it exiles everything that's on the stack right now. It's a really good counter spell. If your opponent casts a Tiberi, you can just end the turn with that Tiberi on the stack, and it's gone into exile forever. It also exiles itself, so if you're trying to do shenanigans where you loop it and return it to your hand to get time walks, it doesn't really do that because it exiles itself as part of ending the turn. Because you go straight to cleanup, anything that triggers at end of turn won't trigger. Because you've skipped over the end of turn step. You will have to discard to hand size, or your opponent will have to discard if you ended the turn on their turn. And any damage wears off, this turn effects end, so stuff, giant growth until end of turn, target creature gets +3/+3, that wears off too. It's super cool. It actually might make Sundial the Infinite decks a thing in Pioneer, as long as you're willing to lose a lot, but
I have a question though. Is this like an insurance policy card? Like if somebody's trying to kill you in like Modern or whatever, and they're trying to combo off, and you're like, turn's done.
So it's like Time Stop. It costs the same amount of Time Stop, 6 mana. So if you use it on their turn, it costs 6. The secret thing is because it only costs 2 mana on your turn, it allows you to exile your triggers or skip over things that you don't want to have happen. So if you have a triggered ability that's really detrimental to you, there's red, white, 1 creatures you control gain indestructible, and at the end of
take
your
an
next
extra
turn, you lose
turn?
the game.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and take an extra turn.
Yeah.
You can put that trigger on the stack and exile it by ending your turn.
Okay.
Nice.
There's also, you can use this with Uro. So if you cast Uro from your hand, he puts 2 triggers in the stack. He puts a draw, put a land, gain 3 trigger, and he puts a you didn't escape this trigger on the stack. He's on the battlefield. You can put the escape trigger on the stack, draw your card, put your land out, gain your 3 life, and then respond to his trigger by discontinuitying to end the turn.
Nice.
Which leaves you with an Uro, and you didn't have to pay as much for this. So a lot of times the end of the turn stuff is about doing weird stuff on your own turn in order to opt out of things that you didn't really want to be doing. But because this lets you do both, it lets you exile their stuff as a big expensive counter spell, or then sometimes get it to pay off your own triggers. So Mangara, the Diplomat. Mangar is a legendary creature, human cleric for white and 3. Mangar is a 2/4. He has lifelink, and whenever an opponent attacks with creatures, if 2 or more of those creatures are attacking you and or planeswalkers you control, draw a card. Whenever an opponent casts their second spell each turn, draw a card.
Yes. Thank you.
So, do you want to punish your opponent for doing stuff? Mangar punishes them for doing stuff. He says,
all I want to do is punish someone for playing light up the stage.
wow. Just because red tried to be blue once. Jeez.
Yep. Look, I'm not here for it. I'm not having it.
Yeah. I can understand it. The attack component of Mangara checks if they split their attackers up. He has so many words to make sure that even if they split their attackers up, one creature attacks you, one creature attacks your Gideon, he'll still trigger. Also, if that trigger goes in the stack and one of those creatures ceases to exist, gets killed, gets bounced, whatever, Mangara will say, you did attack with two creatures. And so he will trigger from those. If one of those creatures stops being in combat because you used Maze of Scophos to remove it from combat, then he won't trigger, or his trigger won't resolve and give you cards because those creatures aren't attacking you anymore. And so it's a little weird that happens. I think the Maze does that. No, that Maze if doesn't remove them from combat.
I appreciate that he looks like he signed so many treaties that it's not even a big deal. He just looks like he's like dropping this one to the side because he's just like, I signed so many treaties.
He's got like a queue of treaties on one side and like he's got like an inbox and an outbox.
Exactly. It's just like, oh, another.
Yeah. That is a really weird stance. That's
my interpretation of what's going on in that art.
Let me just drop this on the floor. What?
Yeah, like, because it's just like, oh, I'm just so good at being a diplomat.
Tiberi, Master of Time. Tiberi is blue 2 for a legendary planeswalker. Tiberi starts with 3 loyalty. He has a static ability, because that's never gone awry in planeswalkers before. You may activate loyalty abilities of Tiberi, Master of Time on any player's turn anytime you can cast it instantly.
Oh, beautiful.
We'll talk about that in a second. +1, draw a card, then discard a card. -3, target creature you don't control phases out. -10, take 2 extra turns after this one.
Great.
Yep.
Yeah. Cool.
So let's talk about his more simple ability. You can activate his loyalty abilities on other players' turns. If you activate a loyalty ability of a thing, you can only activate 1 loyalty ability of that thing per turn, no matter whose turn it is. But you can activate on my turn and then on your turn. So Teferi lets you like +1. He comes down with about 5 loyalty for a 4-mana planeswalker. His -3s, target creature you don't control phases out. So the reminder text is treat it and anything attached to it as though they don't exist until its controller's next turn. So phasing.
Oh boy.
This is the second card to ever be printed with reminder text for phasing.
Oh wow, fun fact.
It was the block mechanic in it was a block mechanic in Mirage Block, and they thought it was too complicated to print reminder text.
Oh,
So,
good.
That's incredible.
In Mirage Block, there was no reminder text for phasing on any cards. But on Teferi's Protection, and now on Teferi, there's reminder text for this mechanic. What phasing does is it makes the creature cover its eyes and say, la la la, you don't exist, I can't hear you. And anything attached to it goes along with it. It sits on the battlefield, ignoring anything, except for stuff that specifically refer to phased out cards. And at the beginning of at the beginning of its controller's next untap step, it phases back in before untapping happens. So if it was tapped, it'll phase in and then untap.
Wow.
The stuff that's attached to it, auras, equipment, fortifications, will phase out with it. And it will phase in with the stuff still attached to it, so you don't knock off auras or something. If you played with phasing in the past, phasing has had several major rules updates underneath it. If you played with phasing back in the year 2000 or so, phasing triggered leaves play abilities, but not comes into play abilities. Don't ask me why. They decided that was the way they wanted it to work, and it worked that way. It does not do that. If the creature does not leave play, it doesn't trigger anything for leaving play abilities. If you played a Phasing of the Past, you don't remember it right because they not because you don't remember it, but because they changed it in the intervening time. If you played up until Tiberi's Protection was printed, phasing things out that were tokens could never come back. And when you phased out a piece of equipment attached to a token with it, the token would be gone forever because it only phased back in based on the base permanent phasing back. Because tokens couldn't phase out, which meant Reality Ripple killed Batterskull and Legacy. That stopped being true. So if you remember, you used phasing out tokens to kill equipment, not a thing anymore.
I'm just going to go. Can I make a motion that this is called Teferi, Master of Time?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay, great. Thanks, everybody, for coming to my TED Talk.
Three fairy Teferi.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you target a token with Teferi, that token will phase out, and it will phase back in normally.
Okay.
It used to be that tokens, if they phased out, cease to exist. That's not the case anymore. If you phase out a mutate stack, it comes back as the mutate stack, regardless of whether or not the top object's a token.
Gotcha.
This behaves the way that you might intuitively think, but this is not necessarily intuitively.
Well, it's not
clear
blink
to
and it's
rules
not
people.
flicker,
Yeah.
which I think is important.
Yeah.
Yes.
It doesn't trigger Leaf's play. It doesn't trigger comes into play. The creature just hides for a little while. You put a cup on top of it and ignore it.
You put a
It
little
was
blanket
made in
over it.
Mirage, so it's as if for a turn maybe you thought it was a Mirage.
Yeah.
You're like, is it there? I don't know. And then it comes back and you're like, it is there.
Yeah. That's as good of an explanation as any in Phase.
I mean,
Well, thank you so much, Judge Rob, for
you're
coming
welcome.
on and letting us know all of this about M21. And like you
Yeah.
said, little tricky stuff hidden in there, despite the fact that it's a core set. But
Yep.
overall, it looks like a really fun set.
Yeah, it looks fun. It looks like there's a lot of stuff going on. This has Gaggle Master. What? Is that the best card name of the year?
it's a
Even
very
Gaggle?
good card
It's
name.
really good.
It's very, very good. Yeah. You know someone is your friend when they will tell you to stay home during a pandemic and explain phasing to you. So thank you to
Great
for
point.
being a friend to us and to all listeners of Good Luck High Five.
Yeah, I want you all to survive. You're all my friends. So
Yeah.
don't get COVID.
Take it from us. We want you to survive.
It is time to name the cutest and grossest card of M21.
That's right. Look, I told you what grossest card was going to be
all saw
when
this
we
coming.
saw it. And you know what? It did not change. It is, in fact, still potentially the grossest card of all time. I'm so upset. Peer into the abyss. I'm done looking at it. Peer into the abyss. Grossest card potentially of all time.
Great
It
choice.
is so disgusting.
It's awful.
It is so disgusting. But Maria,
Well-
cutest card this time around.
Yeah, let's do a palette cleanser because cutest card, there was a lot of options.
There were a lot of options.
Very cute set, M21. And I know I said that I thought it was going to be Rin and Sari. And they're certainly a runner-up. Because they are adorable. But you've got so many cute doggos and cattos running around in this set. You've got stuff like Pack Leader with his glorious little beard. You've got Selfless Savior, which is just a really excited floppy mutt that's here to
Yeah.
save you.
Oh, he's so floppy.
You've got Pride Melkin, which is a cute little green kitty who's strutting. She's strutting.
Malkin is so cute.
Pride Melkin is strutting. Like get out. But I feel like there's one cutest card that is head and tail above the rest, and that is 9 Lives. Congratulations.
9 Lives. So
You're the
cute.
cutest card of M21.
So cute.
It's the cutest thing I've ever seen. A beautiful little house kitty surrounded by cats of magic history, looking very regal, but yet very small.
Oh,
And that's spelled SMOW, by the way.
yeah. Obviously.
Wait, SMOL. What did I say?
SMOW.
Smow. It's very smow. Okay, that is what I meant, I guess. That turns out. It is a small one. Yeah, 9 Lives is wonderful. And the artist, by the way, did release a version of this card art that has the cat out of the middle. So you can put your own kitty cat into this art.
I love it.
You've got to. It's Scott Canavan is the artist, and he said that on Twitter, but I'm pretty sure you can find it somewhere else on the internet. Yeah, so big thumbs up, Paul Scott Canavan. Excuse me, Paul. This is the cutest card.
So cute. Well, everybody, that's our show.
Yeah, thanks again to Judge Rob for coming here and for Molly for providing the background meows throughout the whole thing.
Really, through the whole thing.
She's got a lot to say, you know?
She really wants to go outside.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll let Molly go out. Thank you to everyone who supports the show over on patreon.com/GLHFmagic. You're amazing. Take 3 minutes and become a patron if you go to the show every week. I think it'll make you feel awesome.
Talk to everyone who's already patrons and be like, take 3 minutes and congratulate yourself.
Oh,
for
that
like
too.
a full 3 minutes.
You know? Seriously.
Need really to stop and appreciate you.
You do. Look in the mirror the next time you're in the bathroom and be like, this is time for my 3-minute appreciation speech, and just like go at it for 3 minutes.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
Agree. I strongly agree.
And thank you once again to Card Kingdom for being our sponsor. And we're so excited for M21. Get out there and play. It comes out on Thursday. Hit that draft button. And just have a good time. Have a good time, because the world is a little terrible right now, and that's an understatement.
But you're a lot great, so you know.
There you go.
There
You're
you
a
go.
lot great.